Okay.
We are red lighting.
No, it's red lighting. Yes.
We are red lighting.
Just a normal conversation.
BJ is
Not moving.
BJ is not moving. BJ is in the shot.
He is in the shot. You said you got hooked onto martial arts, but was there anything in particular which actually did get you hooked? Was it like the art itself, or
The sheer physicality of it. I'd always been fit. I'd always done aerobics and hockey and netball. You know, netball was one of my other things. I'd always been fit. I'd run, I'd swim, I'd do all sorts of things. But they're all very monotonous when you compare them to karate, which is fast-paced and changing constantly.
you started off martial arts through your ex-husband, who gained a heart attack.
He did indeed. Yes.
Can you kind of tell us how you felt like during that situation?
It was pretty scary because I was working, as I said earlier, I was working on the third floor of the office building where we were. He's 2 floors below, and I get a call to say, "You better come down, something wrong with Richard." So I find him clinging to his chair with blue lips and say, "Ha ha, let's go."
You said Richard likes doing martial arts, but wasn't it? You said he did another sport before that one.
He did Wadaroo,
Wadaroo,
which is another Japanese karate. Before that, I was in Temple Karate in Birmingham, in Digbeth,
Okay.
and the dojo is still there, I believe, opposite
Right.
the Digbeth police station.
You were saying that when you first joined, you were obviously the only woman, but you also said that if they were to ever do anything, they wouldn't go easy on you. So did you feel like because you were a woman, you were treated any differently, or did you feel like they did the opposite and kind of put more pressure on you because you were the only woman?
There were some men who wouldn't work with me because I was a woman.
Oh right, I never heard this.
Yeah, some of the senior dans. But then again, if you think about how it used to be, nowadays anybody can walk up to any dan and ask a question. If I wanted to ask the sensei a question, I would go to a first dan, who would take it to a third dan, a fourth dan, and then onto the. It would work its way up the ranks. You didn't approach sensei direct.
Even my first grading was a lot better than the one which I did at British Tanks to Do, because it was just different ways of working, different ways of learning as well. Whereby with John Dove it was specific ways, my ways. I'm the only teacher and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. Because that validates me then. Because he's not just got to hold the sword, he's got to hold me on the sword. I'm now on the sword. So that was interesting. He didn't warn me about that at all. I thought it was going to be some sort of ceremony at the end or something, like knighting somebody, but no, do push-ups on that sword. Okay. Interesting.
And that was literally just kind of like out of the blue, pretty much.
Out of the blue. Had no clue. I do now because he says that's what I do with my senior dans. So now everybody that's thinking of doing their fourth dan with Giacobbe knows they're going to have to do that test at the end. On the detached eyeball.
Detached eyeball.
Yes, that was pretty impressive. Yeah, that was my son. It was Chris.
A bit more
Not
context.
the other Chris. That was Lutterworth. I was dreading taking my hands off the sword. I thought all my fingers are going to drop off. The minute I let go of this sword, just go dunk, 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 as I come off. No.
It was.
Just scored there. It was there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It actually cut into your hand, did it?
Yeah, it literally scored the top layers of skin, so it bled slightly. But it was it Brian who made the mistake of rolling his hands onto it?
It was
shaking. Yeah. You've got to go straight onto it. But Brian had thought if he curled it slightly, that would be better.
He's just going to dig it into his hands.
Slice
Yeah.
a piece off.
So the transition to actually make the conversion from Shotokan to Tang Soo Do, from a syllabus point of view, was quite simple. There's a couple of very subtle differences. When you block in Shotokan, the hip position is back. When you block in Tang Soo Do, the hip position is square. So it's reversed. And in Shotokan, when you punch, your hip is square, and when you punch in Tang Soo Do, the hip is open.
See, that doesn't make sense to me, to be honest.
Well, opening.
Talk about the hips and the
Yeah.
because the way I've been taught from Alistair, when you do a punch, your hip's supposed to be going forwards because you want that extra kind of power going into your punch.
Yeah.
And when you're blocking, your hips are square. That's kind of what I've been taught.
So you get the counterclockwise rotation on the hip.
And
Block.
Same
Yeah.
with reverse punch. You know, even though you've got one leg forward, your other hip's supposed to be forwards with the punch forwards.
Mm.
So, how do you feel the ATMA Association of Traditional Martial Arts ATMA differs from other associations anyway?
Or ones you've experienced anyway. is
Yeah,
probably
'cause-
the way to word that.
From what I understand, there are other associations which you have encountered which do also just think of money, and they'll just grade their students just for their and that kind of stuff. So
I think one of the main things we keep out is politics. We will not let the politics thing of you can't do that because you don't do this, or yeah, the Mudok Kwan thing was a perfect example. People get tied up in titles and ranks, and I used to occasionally train with a guy called Harry Cook, and Harry would make you take your belt off when you got to the dojo. So everybody just trained in the suits, so you don't know who you're training with. Could be a yellow belt, could be a black belt. Better, because that dojo floor is a real leveler.